The art of simplicity is a puzzle of complexity. That's one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to think about that while we create this particular animation. It's going to be looping and very simple. So let's actually begin the tutorial. In our default scene, let's go ahead and tap X to delete the default cube and press Shift A and then search for Mesh, Plane, and just scale it up by something like 2 to make it a little larger. Now, the entire effect is just going to be one very simple material. So let's go ahead and switch our viewport shading to rendered and then bring our cursor down to the junction of these two windows, click and drag to create a new window, and then switch this from the 3D viewport to the shader editor. Then let's tap N to remove the side panel and press this plus button to create a new tree. Next, we can press Shift A and just search for a wave texture. Now, this wave texture can directly go into the base color for previewing, but we will be making a few changes soon. The first thing that we want is to make this just very slightly wavy. So we can go ahead and increase this distortion to just something like 12. And you see there's so much extra detail that we don't want. Let's reduce that detail down to 0. Now let's reduce the scale of this wave texture itself down to something like 1. And we could go even lower, but let's keep it at 1 for now. The next thing is this goes very cleanly white, black, white, black, white, black, and so on and so forth. To actually break that up, we can go ahead and press Shift A and search for a noise texture and place that in just between the wave texture and the principled BSDF. So now you see we have so many different colors involved. You can use the factor instead of the color so that it becomes black and white only. And this is essentially all there is to the particular texture. But the thing that we actually want is to have these colors or these lines be affected by the light. So we want to make it look like it's actually bumpy. Now, even though it currently does look like that, it's not going to actually reflect the light in the way we want. So to do that, we're going to actually search for a bump node, which is going to take this particular black and white data and convert it to the height. Now let's plug this into the normal and remove this from the base color. So that way you'll see that it is actually interacting with the light, but it's very minuscule and you can barely see it. So let's go ahead and change some of these settings to make it interact even more. The first thing is we can increase the metallicness all the way to 1. And when you do that, you can already see that yes, the bumps are actually interacting with the light. The next thing is I'm going to reduce the roughness down to something like 0.25, and that's just going to help visualize it a little bit more. Now, the next thing is I feel like the strength is still not as strong as it could be, even though we're directly using a strength of 1. So to make this even more effective, you can increase this distance from 0.001 to maybe 0.005. And now you see it just feels like it's a lot stronger. And I think that's actually all you have to do. The next thing that we're going to do is actually set up the actual colors by using different lights. So before that, let's go ahead and place our camera. Let's select the camera from the outliner, or you can just search for it in the viewport and select it. But then you press Alt-G to clear location, Alt-R to clear rotation, and then G-Z to move it up on the Z-axis by some arbitrary amount. Then you can press this little camera button to go into the camera view, and then continue by pressing GZ to just move it up or down based on what you require. I think this is a decent place. Next, let's go ahead and select this light, go down to the light settings, and then change this color to something that we want. Let's go ahead and make this a nice orangish reddish color, and I think that looks pretty good. But I'm also going to move it just so that it is off the edge of the plane. So I think this much should be good enough. Now I'm going to go ahead and press Shift D to duplicate it and then just bring it over to the opposite corner, and I'm going to give it the opposite color as well. So instead of orange, I'm going to directly go to the opposite side of the color wheel and give it this particular bluish color. Now this could literally be all that you need, but instead of this, I'm going to actually add in a third color in between as well, just by pressing Shift D and bringing this over towards the center. Now I can just press Alt G and then GZ to bring it up by a little bit. Now this central one, I want it to be the intermediate color between these two. So let's just open up this particular color wheel and go for something that's in between. Maybe something just like this is good enough. However, if you just switch off the overlays, this looks very odd with this particular whiteness over here. So I'm going to reduce this power down to something like 250. I might increase it later on, but instead of keeping it circular, I'm going to switch it to an area lamp, and I'm going to increase the size on the Y by quite a bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and just press RZ and rotate it over to look like that. And that's actually all you have to do. Let's go ahead and switch over to the camera properties, expand the viewport display options, and then increase passport 2 all the way to 1 so that we don't see anything outside the camera viewpoint. Next, you see everything seems a little bit too bright. So we can go over to the world properties and just decrease this all the way to black. And that removes that whiteness that we see everywhere. But you can go ahead and personalize this even more. So in your render properties, you can actually go down all the way to color management. And over here, you see there's a look. You can change this to punchy. You can change it to high contrast and things like that to just make it more vivid. However, there's something else that you can do, which is actually check curves. Here you have control over the RGB separately. So if you want this to be more reddish, you can go over to the red curve and just bring this corner all the way in, and you'll see it becomes more reddish overall. So you can play around with this to make this exactly as you want. So maybe I can go ahead and increase the greens a bit as well. And then maybe instead of increasing the greens, you can just reduce the greens and maybe increase the blues a little bit as well. And in fact, you can go ahead and just add in a little bit of an S curve so that we just get a little bit more contrast as well. So I think you can play around with this to create something really cool. But once you're happy with the way this looks, you can go ahead and start animating it as well. So to animate it, again, just in our material properties, on the wave texture, you just have to go ahead and play with the face offset. So to select the right output settings, let's go over to the output properties, change the end frame to maybe 600 so that we get a 10-second long animation at a frame rate of 60 frames per second. Similarly, to make this 4K, I'm going to change this from 100 to 200 and it's going to become 4K. And while we're at it, we'll set the output location to be the same file location wherever you save this particular file. So be sure to save it and then go ahead and change the media type to video. And for the encoding, you can change the container from Matroska to MPEG-4 and an output quality from medium quality to perceptually lossless. Once you have all of that set, you can go ahead and go back to frame 0 and just hover over this face offset and tap I, and then you can go all the way to frame 600, and then on frame 600 you can change this face offset to 2 star pi, which is 1 full rotation, and it'll perfectly loop. You see, it looks like there hasn't been any change whatsoever. Hover over it and tap I. Then to be able to see the keyframes here, just select this particular node. So once you have the wave texture selected, the keyframes should appear. Tap A to select all of the keyframes and then tap T and choose linear. So now when you go ahead and play this animation, you should be able to see that all of these slowly move towards the left. Now it's going to be playing back very slow because I am recording and this is in rendered view. So to make this a little faster to see how fast it actually is, we're going to switch this playback from play every frame to frame dropping, and then you'll get a realistic idea of how it's going to move over time. And that is all you need. Once you're happy with the way everything looks, you can go ahead and just render out the animation. So I really hope that this video taught you something and you actually learned something even about the RGB curves that you could do. Even I didn't know that Blender could do this until recently. I used to go ahead and render out the animation and then take it into a different software like Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve to do all of the color corrections. But now with the RGB curves present within Blender, I think we can actually tune it to the exact look that we want even before we hit the render. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned because I have a lot of tutorials planned out and I really can't wait to share them with you. So until the next video comes out, thank you so much for watching, keep creating, and don't forget to stay creative.